What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fitness For You podcast. In the studio today, the man, the myth, the legend, form over everything, corrective exercise specialist, Adam Rash. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me, Ricky.
Of course.
Sir.
Dude, we have been amped to shoot this show. I want to say we've been planning, 2 weeks now?
Mm-hmm. At least a couple weeks.
At least a couple weeks. So we go way back. Right? About a couple of years, right?
Yes.
Yes, we do. I met you at Anytime Fitness.
Workout anytime.
Workout Anytime Fitness.
Yeah.
I had just came from New York at the time, and I was just looking for a gym, and I remember when I was like, oh, this is a gym in my neighborhood. Let me go there, right? And then I see this tall, lean trainer just doing all these crazy exercises. And I'm like, yo, that guy is good. Like, what's up, dude? And then I remember we were just chatting for a little bit and whatnot. And then I found another gym. It was called Flynn Fitness, right?
Flynn's.
And I'm like, this is great. It's this old school style workout place. It's great. They got Arnold Schwarzenegger all over the wall. It's fantastic. And then, to my surprise, I see this tall, lean trainer going nuts. I'm like, yo, I know that guy.
Here we are again.
And here we are
Yes,
again.
Sir.
That's it. So before we get started, I always love asking all my guests this. What is your story? What got you to this very moment right here? But what brought you to where you are today?
Right. Okay. So that's actually a pretty interesting story. I come from a pretty good background, a healthy family. My parents were both together. They loved us, gave us everything we needed. But me and my brother just tended to stray off the deep end a little bit. And, we got in a lot of trouble when we were younger and acted a fool and did a lot of nonsense. But, at some point in life, things got pretty rough for both of us. And my brother ended up getting himself in trouble and got sent to prison for a little. Several years, and that kind of, shook me and my family. Of course, it's hard on all of us, but that kind of helped me straighten my life out, and open up my eyes to reality a little bit, because I haven't really, I've just been existing for all these years, and I wasn't really into a career for myself, or into having a family one day, or any of that. And seeing my brother go away just helped me to kind of grow up a little more. But, it helped me to kind of get a passion for other things a little, like, actually care about life a little more.
Right.
I started exercising with some friends, and that's when
Yeah.
I met a really good buddy of mine, Ben Raymer, that, we did like group exercises together and did a lot of CrossFit workouts and stuff. And
Awesome.
He's telling me, like, I had a knack for it, and that it's something that seems like I should do for myself. He did it for a decade or more. I think he still does, but
Yeah.
And he was telling me, the way I try to teach people, try to help them understand better form and everything. So that kind of, lit a spark in my head.
Right.
Gave me an idea. Like, I never had any ideas or aspirations or goals or anything in my life, really, truly.
Right.
So that's kind of when I got into the certification, and that was right around COVID time.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and it took me a little while after that to actually go through with it.
Yeah.
But that's when I started working at Workout Anytime. But several years down the road. But
Right.
it was. That's something I finally found that I could do to help people and help myself in a sense.
Wow.
And it's, and it's good for you. Everybody needs fitness. Everyone needs to exercise. If not for their brain or their body, for so many reasons.
Right.
But it's, it helped me to open up my eyes and see that I can help others to get, to feel better and be out of pain and live healthier. So.
And that's the big thing you do. You're an exercise, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a corrective exercise specialist?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's incredible. I feel like that's why I think personal training is so cool, and that's why we get along so well, is because there's so many different niches.
Yes, there are.
There's so many different niches.
Yes, there are.
And a side note, I feel like a lot of personal trainers, they don't niche down, and that's why they don't That's why they don't have a lot of clientele for the most part. But besides that point, you're a corrective exercise specialist. Now, your friends inspired you, right? You got this niche, you're working out with your friends, and it caught that bug and that fire. At what point when you were working out with your friends were you just like, yo, I need to do this. This is like my life trajectory kind of deal.
Yeah, that was at the point to where basically I was done with, I was internally, I was going through a lot in my life at the time. And, my brother had went to prison shortly before that. So that was just when I found that passion, when that spark lit. I don't remember exactly when it was, but he helped me decide, my buddy Ben helped me decide, that I needed to just go through that certification and take that first step.
Yeah.
So that was something that took me a while to do because I was a little nervous about it. I didn't really have that faith in myself like I do today.
Right.
Confidence at all. But yeah, that spark lit, and then I just finally found a compassion for something that I really loved and could help people with.
Right. And you literally jumped on the rocket and have flown. Even from when I met you to now, dude, you're like you're just marketed out. He came driving in here. His car was all decked out, form over everything stuff. I spotted that thing a mile away. I was like, okay, I know he's here.
Yeah, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
It definitely sticks
does.
out. Yeah. That's awesome. How'd you come up with the concept form over everything?
So that actually kind of goes back to, working for the commercial gyms, I guess, and the corporate gyms, just seeing kind of how they weren't as concerned with the quality of trainer that they hired, more or less just kind of sell, mm-hmm. And that's just the way it is with a lot of those corporate gyms. They're trying to keep that money and revenue up, right? But,
jeez.
So, and like I said, the quality wasn't always, their trainers weren't always, and when I first started there, I wasn't the best, but I learned a lot from my mistakes.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to be important to most of the fitness director and the staff to actually help people.
Really?
It seemed more or less to just get the money and put them through the motions. I mean, a lot of people got a lot of help. I saw a lot of coaches help a lot of people when I was there. I'm not saying anything bad about anyone that was working there. It's just different at a place like that. I had to branch off on my own, which was a very big step.
Totally.
And it was hard for me to do, but I was able to work under my own, and that's when I came up with, form over everything, because no one seemed to be that concerned with their form, especially the coaches.
Right. Oh my God. Right.
And that's the thing that really bothered me, and it's like, from listening to so much rap music in my day, I was like, MOE, money over everything. so that's when I came up with the FOE, and so that was my brand, and we got I went through with that with my girlfriend. She kind of helped me establish the business and get it started. Shout out to Joe Marie.
Joe Marie.
And it's just from there, here we are. It's been a blast. Like I had a 10-year goal to have my own gym, and it was 4 years into it, we found this house that we moved into 8 months ago now, and found the perfect basement, and we turned it into a perfect fitness studio.
That is so awesome.
Took my savings and just put everything I had into it, and just trusted the process, man.
Yeah.
And if you build it, they will come, and they have. So I just got to have faith that they'll keep coming.
Oh, and I don't even want to call it struck of luck. I want to call it a blessing from God.
Amen to that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Amen to that. You found a basement in North Carolina. They don't make houses with basements in North Carolina. So how incredible is that?
Right. Yeah, it was perfect, man. It was a blessing. We found the perfect spot, right in the town of Marsville, right in downtown. Right next to the medical center. It's a beautiful little spot. But yeah, come check us out.
Yeah, come check it out. We're gonna link everything in the description. So if you guys are in the Mars Hill area, even the Weaverville area, and you're looking to get honestly in the best shape of your life, listen, here's my stroke of my signature to him. He knows exactly what he's doing. I see him training people all the time. The guy gets results, okay, from one trainer to another. So definitely check him out. We're going to link everything in the description. Yeah, of course, man. That's what the show's all about, man. Helping people out, getting people into the best shapes of their lives.
That's right.
But that's like the biggest thing. What intrigued me the most was I kind of had a first class seat to seeing you from one point to another, because I remember when I met you at Anytime, and we were just I was kind of getting started too. I was like debating on, if I was going to pursue occupational therapy or I was going to continue, being a personal trainer, right?
Right.
I think me and you had like a brief conversation about it. You looked at me, you're like, it's cool here. I like it here, but the pay is not the best. And I could just tell, because I've been in a commercial gym too.
Right.
Sometimes it just doesn't fit for people. Like, you want more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You were like, I feel like I could do so much more on my own. And then seeing you at Flynn, seeing you with the attire, seeing you grow, seeing the business cards finally get on the front desk. And then I go into local shops to see your business card everywhere. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
He's become he is a new animal of change. So I just think it's been,
We need to spread our wings, man.
that's it, man. I think it's been fantastic to see that, and seeing a trainer who's in such incredible shape. So let's talk about that. Form over everything. What is your goal with most of your clientele? What are you trying to do with them?
Well, we're just trying to save lives, bro, one rep at a time. A lot of my clients actually are older folks that have a lot of balance and stability issues. I like to say I specialize in balance and stability. Don't actually have any certifications that say that, but I work with a lot of athletes that need, a little more stability in their life. But what were you asking me?
That happens like once or twice a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get into like a long thread. I'll either say like, wait, what was I saying again? Or my guess is like, wait, what was the question?
Yeah, I lost it.
I have such a long-winded question. So like, okay, so your main mission, I think you alluded to it a few times.
Yes.
What is Form Over Everything's main mission?
To make sure everyone has proper form, posture, and stays out of pain.
Love that.
And has proper functional movement patterns. Point blank, period.
Do you feel like when people are doing form wrong that they wind up either getting themselves injured or give themselves chronic pain? What is that?
A lot of time, yes, a lot of time. Things form slowly over time sometimes. Little niches happen, little tears happen, take a long time occasionally to really notice anything bad, but you always have to listen to your body. Anything minor that doesn't feel muscle related, take a second and realize you might be in the middle of a workout and your adrenaline's pumping,
Right.
so you don't really notice these things as much. But you just have to, just be careful and make sure. I know a lot of people don't really like to be. I try to come up to people in a certain way if I'm not training them and I see them doing something wrong, because a lot of people don't like they don't want to hear it, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're doing this wrong.
Yeah, and it's not like, I'm not trying to say, so you can try this a different way, or, how about try this different approach to it. But it is tough, because I see it all the time, people with, terrible form or not bracing their core,
Right.
bowing their backs, or using their traps for upper body when they're supposed to be using their chest or
Yeah,
something.
I see a lot of that in the gym.
It's a constant thing, and it's like, that kind of irks me, and I don't, a lot of people don't know that. So that's where I come in, if I can help them to make sure they're doing everything just as perfect as possible,
Right.
And get their imbalances, because a lot of people have those imbalances, not enough unilateral exercises are implemented with trainers.
Right.
So like, we have to watch for those things, but I like to. Form's a big thing for me, obviously.
Form over everything, guys. Come on. Yeah. What is the biggest mistake you see coaches do with their clients?
Not pay attention and not count. Like me.
Yo. Yes. Yo, for real. Yo.
Just kidding. No, but seriously.
we can't count. I can't count past 10.
Nobody that trains can count past 10.
That's right. Thank you.
It's true. 2 more. How many? Just 2 more. Come on.
Can you please just let my clients know that I am not the only one who does this? Okay?
He's not the only one. It's not just him.
Listen, we get to 10 and we're just like, am I doing the laundry later? Like, what? Oh, shoot, yeah, you're doing just great.
Yeah, right. No, but I think for the most part, yeah, just not paying attention to people. I feel like we do a lot better with that on a serious note.
Yeah.
But a lot of clients, just like I said when I worked at the other gyms I've worked at, they're just kind of putting people through the motions.
Yeah.
Here you go, do these push-ups, do this, do that.
Oh,
and,
I can't stand that.
The form, not paying attention to the form, or making them go, not pushing them hard enough, pushing them too hard. Possibly some people, it's you just have to have that balance, But I see a lot of mistakes with just form and not paying attention to that. So
I don't, a lot of people sometimes they'll look at me, and for me, form is extremely important too. I am exercise science kind of guy. I follow all the data. I love that kind of stuff. But as a coach, you know what I'm saying? When you're teaching somebody, and I know you could relate to this, like sometimes, listen, they're not going to get it right away. They'll get bits of it.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll get bits of it. And I look at somebody, I find that when people are just starting out, they're a little bit easier to teach form. Breaking bad habits out of somebody.
Oh, that's the.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Especially if they've been doing it for years that way, breaking those bad habits.
Yes. It takes a while to come back from that. Yeah.
Breaking the ego, right? Breaking the ego down, making sure that they're on center with that. Like for years, it was so hard for me to teach the tricep push down. Simple concept, right?
Right.
But so many people were doing it wrong. I'm like, am I doing it this way? Am I doing it this way? Let the arm swing up. And I'm like, so I don't know how you do it, but for me, with any kind of form, every single session, I'll make sure that they're like they'll get one thing right this time, and then we'll add on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Wherever their capabilities are, right? So when you're picking apart someone, Nancy, her squat form is like, I'm just making up somebody, but Nancy, form's terrible. She's bending over this way. What is your approach with somebody if you're going to go correct their form? You're going to see them. You're seeing Nancy. She's all messed up, right? And you just want to save. You're going to save her life, right?
Absolutely.
How does Adam Rash go up to somebody and correct their form?
Well, for starters, hey, how you doing? My name's Adam. Coach Adam, nice to meet you. So I was just thinking, it looked like you could do this possibly a different way, try a different approach to this, maybe use your core a little bit more. I can kind of teach you a thing or two to show you how to brace your core properly. But I think that could possibly lead to an injury if you continue doing it that way. I'm just here to help. So if there's anything I can do, let me know,
That's awesome. There we go. Well, that was like the nicest way I've ever seen someone. Like, I would be like, okay. Like, even if you came to me like, yeah, dude, just tell me. Yeah. I think you just broke through everyone's like ego with that. He's like, hey, I'm like Mr. Rogers. I'm here to help you. Right. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you don't have to listen, but I think it may help you a little bit. If you like, if you want to take my advice, it might just help you. It might just keep you from bulging a disc or something.
Bulging a disc. So what was it like becoming an exercise specialist? Like, what was the certification like? What were some of the things you learned?
Well, that was tough. Corrective, there's a lot of stuff I didn't retain. There's a lot of stuff I did, but showing me, learning how the rotator cuff is, the shoulder girdle is probably one of the most complex parts of the body. It's so, but showing me how to work the rotator cuff, in all directions and showing me, test on weaker rotator cuffs, showing me how to correct those imbalances from, the hips or the pelvis being off. It helped me it reminded me a lot of my studies that I first took, obviously.
Right.
And took me back to the anatomy a lot. But basically, it helped me I would consider it right under going to school for like physical therapy.
Right.
It's pretty complex, but it helped me to understand the anatomy a lot better and how to move, the joints a lot better through better range of motion, too,
right.
And more properly. So it helped me with better form.
Totally. I mean,
Sure.
you get any kind of certification, it's going to help you be better at it. That's why you're doing it to learn.
Absolutely.
You know, now do you find that now there's so much debate out there? They're saying like partial range of motion, right, is the thing. They like that, or like weighted partials, full range of motion. Where do you fall on that spectrum of form?
It works for some people. I believe in full range of motion, especially since I'm very long.
Right.
And I have a long range of motion in a lot of my joints, but it's to me, I think it's just find what works best for you. I do partials sometimes to finish off a set if I'm trying to go to failure on something, maybe on my arms or shoulders, but I try to put my muscles through that full range of motion every time. I feel like that's the best way for growth every time. Put it through the full stretch, fully lengthen it, and shorten it every time.
Right.
Under that tension. But, there is evidence that partials can, gain pretty decent hypertrophy. It just depends on, I think, like I said, me personally, I got to go through that full range every time. That's just how I do my sets and reps, and that's how I always do them. But
I think that's such a good thing, though, full range of motion. I don't understand what the hype is over, like, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. Yeah. Why? What is wrong with full range of motion? Right. And I would even make the argument that if I want to work on my mobility, right, my shoulder mobility, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
Full range of motion, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it.
Did
you find with certain groups of people, like the older population, where do they have the most mobility issues? Would you say hips?
Yeah, hips, definitely.
Wow.
Most older people. Well, I mean, majority of people have weak abductors for sure.
Okay.
Definitely, and a lot of the older folks I find have restrictions in their spine, their thoracic. In their thoracic and their lumbar, and in their hips, like all over. Pelvises might be off a little bit, tilted one way or another, or a little sideways or whatever. They may need an adjustment, but a lot of older folks, it seems to be the problems in the hips a lot of the time. So train your glutes. Always train your glutes.
So that's a question I was going to ask you. How would you correct something like that?
A lot of abduction work, a lot of unilateral glute work to make sure they're balanced properly. A lot of hip thrusts. Gotta thrust and hinging patterns. Good proper hinging patterns. With a good tight core and a straight back. Is probably where I would go to for most of that.
You never see old people.
Core.
Exactly.
And a lot of core.
People don't hinge anymore.
No.
They just stop as they get older. That we lose. Even in my experience, I'm not a corrective exercise specialist, but I have to know a thing or two about these things.
Absolutely.
Right? OT background. Hello. They've lost that plane of motion. Right? They've lost that thoracic extension and flexion. Yes. They're just sturdy. Stiff as a board. And that's why I do a lot of boxing with people, so that they get that natural, movement patterns. Nice. But the older the person, the more stagnant they are. So do you take them through a certain routine? Is there do you have a formula for it, or do you kind of just see?
It just depends. It depends on the person and how much they're already able to do. And if they have any major, restrictions or injuries already that are keeping them from doing anything specific, but just pretty much depends on the person. I have to go case by case there, basically. But a lot of people, just making sure that their core is stable. That's the one thing that's important. Stable core. And always training your glutes, man. Especially for older folks, your glutes will keep you a lot more stable too, so you won't fall as much. So keeping that core and glutes is going to help stabilize your spine and all the muscles around you. So kind of, it's very important to work your core.
Wow.
And keep it stable.
Now, I've heard that the core, and I always tell my clients this, and please correct me on my own show if I'm wrong, because I'm always here to learn. I always tell them that the spinal erectors, the glutes, and the rectus abdominis and transverse abdominis is all the core.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
knew
The
I
back
was right.
core too. Yes.
Yes.
The erect. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go. I'm not lying
That's
to people.
all core. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
they all work together too. So we have to keep everything strong. You'll know, your body will tell you if there's an imbalance or if there's something that needs a little more attention. But work on your weakest links always. It's very important.
What do you feel about, okay, so here's an issue I run into with a lot of my clients, right? And I don't want to say my knowledge is limited on that, but it kind of is, right? I'm a weight loss specialist. That's what I do, right? I get a lot of older folk who talk about their knee issues, right? Their knee issues. Now, I'm always like, there's a connective chain to things.
Right.
And sometimes I can't properly connect where that imbalance might be. Right. When you see a knee issue, right, and they're having knee pain, right? What is the first thing you think about when you see that?
First thing I think of is the hips.
Right.
I think, a lot of the time it may occur above or below where they're actually noticing the pain, the problem. So a lot of the times I think hips. Are their hips stable? Check their, check their stability on their hips. Do a little leg raise on the side and see how, the difference and see how weak one side is. Maybe try a single leg tap down, see if they're even able to do it without, grabbing the wall.
Right.
And just to see how their hips do, and if that doesn't, maybe go to the feet from there and see if the feet need a little more attention. But if that doesn't do it, maybe go to a roll out the quads, do some trigger point massaging, maybe with a gun or something around the quads to kind of release the tissue around the knees. And a lot of times that's the answer. Okay. For a lot of people, if you have tight, mine all the time give me issues. Plus, I have a torn meniscus, so it's just.
That's just giving you problems.
If your quads are tight, they're gonna pull on that knee joint. So that could be a lot of the time just rolling out your quads or massaging, but a lot of the times it comes from the hips.
That is, it all makes sense to me. Sometimes, as my audience knows, I do ask some stupid questions. Sometimes I just say it really confidently.
That's all right.
But no, I know. I think it's great. My audience sometimes they'll come and talk to me like, Rick, that was the dumbest question. Why did you say that? I'm like, 'cause I just want to know. I'm here for you asking these questions, right? But that's genuinely very interesting. So I heard that rolling out. A lot of people, I know there was a lot of hype about, foam rolling and whatnot and how it helps recovery. But now it's, like you said, helps with mobility of the joint, things like that. They're having like a 5 to 10%, thingamajig on that. That mic totally dropped down and we didn't even know it. There we go. You're picking up just fine. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine. I'll leave it.
That's okay. Yeah, don't worry, guys. You're not seeing anything. Check 1 2. That's all you need to know. Okay. But yeah, that is so interesting. So we were getting into talking about supplements. What are some of the supplements that you take?
Wow, not a whole lot now. I used to actually take everything, and
Me too.
For starters, it's expensive.
Yes.
So a lot of crap you get from your diet. If you eat proper diet, you're going to get most of the stuff that we're spending money on anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I don't do near what I used to anymore. I don't have a drawer full of pills anymore and powders. But I strictly everyday D3, vitamin C, chelated zinc. I do the magnesium complex as well.
Yeah.
And aminos occasionally, but creatine, of course, monohydrate every day.
Every day, guys.
Every day.
Product placement. Shout out to Live Lean Performance, guys. Creatine monohydrate. Guess what? There's nothing special. It's just creatine.
It's just creatine.
It's just creatine.
But it is. It is creatine though. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it. Just my creatine. Oh, and electrolytes. I like the drip drops. You can get them on Amazon. They don't have as much sugar as the liquid IVs that they have at most grocery stores. It's just, hydration with potassium and
it's the best.
Sodium and all the good stuff you need. A little bit of sugar. But that's about it. My pre-workout's generally a stick of that, hydration, creatine, and occasionally handful of aminos.
You're crazy. Yeah. No pre-workout?
No pre-workout.
Holy cow.
Maybe some beetroot here and there. It'll get the blood flowing real good, but
that's wow. You're like Dark Knight Warrior status?
Well, I try. I appreciate that. I mean, yes, you're right. I am.
He's Batman, guys.
Oh man, don't tell anybody else.
Oh, sorry. No one heard that. Erase it from your memory. I love pre-workout. I've always been a pre-workout guy.
Yeah.
I envy the people who don't use it. I'm like, what? What is deep down in your soul that is driving you to lift that weight?
No, I definitely have used my share of it.
Yeah.
I used to use it pretty heavy, but I also drink a lot of energy drinks and just a lot of caffeine, so I've backed off of that in the past several years. I have my cup of coffee every morning, but that's
It's coffee.
It's coffee.
It's like water at this point. It's like a ritual water that you need.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? So you take these supplements. Speaking of your workouts, you're like one of the leanest dudes I see in the gym. What are you doing for training? What's the goal? Everyone wants to know.
I'll say this to start. God bless me with one hell of a metabolism and some great genetics. So there is that. But you got to put in the work, period, point blank. Ronnie Coleman has amazing genetics, but he didn't get there for not putting in the work, right? And a lot of other stuff, but we won't go there. But
Special supplements,
yeah. But anyway, I am very blessed to have a super high metabolism, but I eat a lot of high protein diet, high protein fiber diet, and work my butt off 3 days a week. Legs, man, I do a lot of legs. My split is basically, heavy squats at the beginning of the week with some unilateral movements, whatever it may be for my legs. The second day is heavy compound lifts for upper body, your rows, pulls, presses, overhead presses, dumbbell presses. Day 3 is generally legs again.
Wow, 3 days of legs.
But I'll generally do deadlifts, either Wednesday or Friday, depending on how well I recovered from Monday's back squats, because they're generally pretty heavy. And then a lot of corrective exercises, if you will, for my hips, and still trying to get a little stronger on my right adductor here. So, but other than that, day 4, it's
day 4.
Day 4 is upper body again, only 2 days a week. That is generally more of arms and corrective exercises for my rotator cuff muscles, and back muscles, shoulder blades, scapula, just basically a lot of corrective exercises that day, and a lot of arm pump.
Come on.
Gotta get them arms, right?
Yes, you do.
Can't skip arm day, man.
You can't. Gohan never skipped arm day.
Sure didn't.
You don't do it either.
But, and then, day 4 is generally a little more recovery-based stretching. One of my clients I've been doing every week, we've been doing a stretching on Friday, mobility day that he does. And shout out to I Love Stacks on IG. He's awesome. He's my man, Tim. But so that's really a lot of recovery and filling in the gaps, the calves and the tibs, and the balance and mobility exercises and whatnot for that 5th day a lot of time, But definitely more legs too.
Totally.
More legs.
Well, you're a mobility guy, and
legs, bro.
Legs all day.
Legs.
This man does not skip leg day.
No,
It's actually, now that you say it, I never see you train upper body. Every time I'm in the gym, it's always like some sort of like leg orientated thing, and all your clients are like dying, like squatting and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah,
Seriously.
we don't even do upper body, honestly. All my clients' upper bodies are just like, I'm kidding.
The tiny upper body, big lower body.
I'm joking, but seriously, we love leg day, man.
Yes, we do. Never skip leg day.
Never skip leg day.
As a trainer, as a coach, as somebody who's invested in people's success, right? Because that's why me and you are in this business.
Absolutely.
We are in love with seeing people change.
Yes.
Because we've seen our own lives change, right? And I think that's so important. What is the one thing that you see that prevents clients from bridging that gap, from stepping in the gym? And what would you say to them to get them started?
A lot of the time, it's just that fear, For starters, exercise is not easy. It's not you know, when you get used to doing it, after a while, it becomes something that you don't want to do without. It becomes something that a lot of people want to do, and it feels good to do it, even though it's kind of painful.
Right.
But there's so many people that are so scared to start that, to get started, and they think, you know, someone that may be 100 pounds overweight, he thinks, Jesus Christ, I have to go so far to get to this, you know, lose this 100 pounds, and he's just thinking so far ahead, and he's thinking so negative. But you can't do that. You have to start with one little goal, you know, the small little simple goals to get to that bigger goal. You just have to have enough faith in yourself to step in the gym or to try that one time. You know, ask someone for help if you don't know what you're doing. Ask me for help. Ask Ricky. We know what we're doing.
We try.
We try. But, you know, just taking that first leap, you know, if you get in the regiment and start becoming consistent with it, it will be a part of your life, and you will want to do it more. That's all there is to it. And you should want to do it for the rest of your life until you're 100.
Right.
But, you know, just that fear, and I tell some people that reach out, you know, I want to start training with you, blah, 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 whatever it may be. And then I don't hear back from them. I just check in with them occasionally, like, hey, man, I hope you're well. You know, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. But, you know, I'm here for you when you're ready to get started, because you don't want to pressure people too much, but you also, like, want to keep that bug in their ear so they're thinking about it all the time.
Right.
You know, because you do want them to think about it and, like, you know, not put it off, because it's their life, man. It's their health and their overall well-being. So it's like that's why we do this, man. We want people to be out of pain and be happy and mobile.
Right. And mobile.
And strong, man.
And strong, and not skipping leg day.
Never skipping.
I think what you said was wonderful. By the way, it's going to make one heck of a reel. Can't wait to have that. That was awesome. I think you said it beautifully.
Thank you.
Beautifully. And what I love what you talked about is, like, you're genuinely checking up on people. Like, a lot of people, they're afraid of, like, the salesman.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're just trying to sell me. No.
That's true.
We genuinely care. And I could see that with you, and that's like the big thing that we do. We care more about you than we do the money, because guess what? The money is just a symptom that comes with what we do.
That's right.
Secondary, bro.
This is our job, but it's not a job.
It's not a job.
It's not a job, bro. If you love what you do, right?
Come on.
Never work a day.
Never work a day. I haven't worked a day in 3 years. I don't know about you.
That's about right. Yeah.
I haven't worked a day.
Yeah. But sorry to interrupt. To piggyback on what you said, it has a lot to do with working at those, you know, at the corporate gyms that sell. You know, they're not as concerned with the people's well-being as they are their pockets. You know, and it's like, that hurts me, because I understand these businesses have to stay afloat, and, you know, some of them are what you call it, where they have more than one.
Right.
But it's just, you know, they charge so much money for something that could be a lot less, and could put a little more thought into how they train the people that are training, you know, people that are paying good money for it, because it is their life and it is their well-being. So it's like that right there alone was enough for me. Like, all right.
You're like, all right.
I do this on my own, man, and I'm going to help people a lot better than I can, you know, anywhere under someone else's roof. So.
Yeah. And have you seen that change? Like, when you were getting compensated a lot better, no more middleman, right? Like, you show up different.
Right. That's right.
You show up different, bro. I'll never forget the day when I started on my own, and, like, people pay they pay a decent amount for personal training, because
it's not cheap.
It's not. We're here to change your life. Like, you're going from, let's just say you lose 100 pounds. That's 100 pounds. You just lost a human being. You know what I'm saying? Even 30 pounds. That's life-changing right there. And, like, people will pay money for that. And I understand that, because, you know what? Just how I didn't know how to drive when I was, you know, 18, 19 years old getting my license, I paid big money to get taught how to drive, right? So I can go on the highway, so I wasn't afraid, right? Just how I wanted to get into college and learn OT, I paid big money for that. And that's the thing, when I finally got compensated, I was like, holy cow. I was like, I'm going to help these people way more. Instead of them paying the same amount that they would pay for a gym, and then I get 10% of that.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting the whole thing. I'm like, I'm gonna give you the I'm gonna give you the app. I'm gonna give you the meal plan. I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna text you. Is on.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So
We're going to stay on top of you, that's for sure.
for sure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's cutting out that middleman is good because, you know, certain places like that won't let you spread your wings, man.
They won't.
And then we need to fly.
They won't. So how has it been with your own business now? Like, what does that look like? What's the differences?
It's been tough, but I mean, I remind myself every day, like I got my own gym, man. You know, it's not huge. It's almost 900 square feet. It's big enough. You know, I have several machines, everything I need, all the equipment. Come see me and you'll find out. But it's just a lot to keep up with, and so much more than we realized. You know, especially all this rain lately, fighting the humidity, and just a lot to keep up with cleaning. But man, every day I wake up and I'm like, holy crap, I got a gym, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have all this stuff that I thought it was going to take me a decade to get to. Whether or not, you know, it's in my home or not, that doesn't really make a difference. That saves money even more because, you know, I'm already paying that rent regardless.
Right.
But like, it's crazy, man. I didn't think I would, you know, I believed in myself, but I didn't see it happening like this. So I'm just thankful, man. I thank God that I'm, you know, in this position, and thank my family and my brother, and especially my girlfriend for helping me get here, because don't think I could have done it without them. And people like you along the way, my brother.
Come on.
Because I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't be doing this.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't, man. We need more of us in this, you know?
We do. We definitely do. I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, that is why I'm doing this.
Yeah. We're in it, man.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember me and you used to talk all the time about business and just like how we're going to do it. When I saw that you got that gym, I was unbelievably happy. I was like, dude, that's where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? With my own gym, right? And because that's the goal for me, you know, phase 3 of the mission, by the way, you guys know the phases. Phase 3 is the same thing, you know, not having an overhead, having the gym out of my own home, you know, and having people come to you. I don't want to rent a building. I think the training business is changing. I talked to my mentor, Kaiser, all the time. We chat about business. We chat about everything. He's one of the best, basically personal trainers, I want to say, in the New York area. I would even argue the country. He has a franchise called Better Body Boot Camp. And we talk about the changes in the training industry. And I think one of the biggest things that are changing is like the independent trainer is becoming the real deal. They're becoming the business, right? They're not gone are the days of just opening up a studio right away. People are opening up studios in their houses, right? They're doing the entrepreneurial thing, and they're being really smart about it. With all the technology we have now to do that.
No.
You know, so I feel like this is finally, and I don't know how you feel about this. I think I do know how you feel. I finally feel like this is a career that people can actually make a crazy living doing.
Yes, I agree.
You agree?
I agree. Yep.
Awesome.
If you put your heart into it, especially, but if you really put your work in, it's you know, we can make big changes, and that's another thing that's kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, running your own business is like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing half the time. I don't know what the next step is half the time. You know, it's like where, or you know, whatever it may be, but Christ, man, it's so much to be thankful for, and we get to help people every day. That's all there is to it. We get to help people get strong. We get to help people work their legs,
like doing all the good stuff.
Yeah, and be more mobile. So it's like, why?
Yeah. It's and business is marketing at the end of the day.
It
Like,
is.
We're learning how to market. That's what it is. Because I know there's a lot of really great trainers out there that don't know how to market themselves, and that's the people who make the least amount of money because they're not marketing themselves correctly. But then you get a rinky-dink trainer who is just like, no, I've seen it on the internet. They know how to. They're like, do this exercise. They're burning your fat on these sides. You know who you are, and I don't like you. At all.
A lot of them.
2 million followers. Am I jealous? Yes. Am I angry? Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Is he stealing your money? Yes, he is. Rant over.
Yes.
Marketing. That's what it comes down to. Have you found yourself learning, like, have you found yourself as an entrepreneur going and trying to invest in things to learn to get better at this whole thing?
Yes. That's taking some time too, but yes, you know, the marketing thing is definitely new to me for the most part. But like stuff like Yelp and Google and like that's, I mean, everything is digital now.
Yeah.
Everything's online. I had to get with the program. I wasn't even really doing social media for several years because it's like, for a business perspective, it wasn't really doing much for me when you don't have but such a small following. But that could change, right? But it's it's definitely, I'm leading off the question again, but
Yeah, it's good. Dude, personal question. Do you think you have ADHD?
Absolutely. I was diagnosed when I was like 8 or something, so yeah.
It's 3 for 3. All of my guests have had ADHD.
Took the Ritalin and everything all through middle school. Yeah, no, don't want nothing to do with that crap. But
Nope, that's perfect.
my girlfriend says I have squirrel brain, but that's what she calls it.
Good for you, man. Good for you. So do I.
Yeah.
You should have seen me putting this whole thing together before you were here. I was all over the place, bro.
Nice.
All of my guests have had ADHD. This is an ADHD safe zone. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
right. That's right.
And that's how we do things here.
It's also a superpower.
Yes, come on. That's it. He knows the lore, man. He knows the lore. Come on. Shout out to the hopeful therapist, Mike.
Hey.
That's
awesome.
So what are some final words you can give to my audience about just who you are, how you help people, and like what would be one, see, now I'm going crazy with the question. What's one piece of advice you would give somebody getting into training?
One piece of advice I would give someone getting into training: train your damn core. Excuse me. Bleep.
Bleep.
Train your core. I don't care how bad it hurts. And don't just do crunches and sit-ups all day. You need to do things to stabilize it. Planks are important, but, when you get up to a 5-minute plank, try something else. Or make it a little more challenging or something more unstable. But work your core. In your glutes, especially for the guys. Enough guys don't work their glutes. They're all worried about the show muscles. And them glutes will show if you work them. So, work your peach, man, and your core. Like we talked about before, those are very important. Keep everything else stable and mobile. So that would be my main advice, especially for, someone getting started. A lot of core exercises. Work your core and, stretch and stay mobile. Stretch and, fascia release, roll out, foam roll, trigger point balls, whatever, all that stuff.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Work
your core.
Work your core, people. And as we know, the back, the front, and
the back, the front, all the 4 of the cores.
all the 4 of the cores that we talked about. Where can people find you?
So I am still training at Flynn's every once in a while. Shout out to Flynn's Fitness. But my gym is located in Mars Hill, right beside the medical center, 165 Mountain View. Come check me out, or check out our website, formovereverything.com. Check out my Instagram page. I imagine will be in some sort of link here. Form Over Everything 88, I think.
Yes.
Something like that. But yeah, you can reach out any of those places and get my card at local places in Mars Hill. And hopefully I hear from you guys, because I'd love to help you if I could.
And that's it, guys. So listen, I'm going to link all of that in the description, meaning I'm going to text and be like, yo, bro, can you put that in like a text message so I can copy and paste that to the description? So we're going to do that. You can find him down in the description. But guys, if you are in the Mars Hill area, even the Asheville area, you're looking to get mobile in the best shape of your life, trust my friend Adam. He is awesome. He's got a private gym. It is super cool. And,
One-on-one.
and you will not be disappointed. But you guys know the deal. Live lean and stay happy.
That's right.